The WNBA Finals, supposedly the crown jewel of women's basketball, just became the punchline of every sports discussion. Ticket prices for the biggest games of the year dropped so low they were practically being given away. $6. That's what fans were paying for a finals ticket, less than a hot dog at the concession stand. I've seen parking spots outside the arena cost more. The processing fee on Ticketmaster alone might have been higher than the seat itself. This wasn't a random mid-season matchup. This was the championship series. The games that were supposed to showcase everything great about the league. Instead, they exposed how little real enthusiasm there was once the bright lights of hype faded. And here's the kicker. Just months earlier, that same arena was electric. When Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever came to town, seats sold for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. Courtside tickets hit $2,000. People lined up like it was a Taylor Swift concert. The buzz was unreal. Every Fever game felt like a national event. But now, you could walk up to the gate on finals night and get a front row seat for less than a combo meal at McDonald's. That's how far the excitement had fallen. So what went wrong? How did the league go from the hottest story in sports to empty arenas in just a few short months? The truth lies in what many have been afraid to say out loud. The WNBA didn't build real momentum. It borrowed it. And all that borrowed energy came from one name: Caitlin Clark. She wasn't just a player. She was a cultural phenomenon. Her games were appointment viewing, her highlights went viral, and her jersey became the league's best-selling item overnight. But the second Clark season ended, the air went out of the balloon. Viewership nosedived, ticket sales vanished, and the WNBA was once again left exposed. Even players within the league are starting to admit it. Sophie Cunningham, one of the few willing to tell the truth, said what fans already knew. You can't guilt-trip people into caring about your product. You have to make it worth watching. Clark did that effortlessly. She made basketball fun again. But without her, the finals became unwatchable. There was no spark, no narrative, no must-see energy. Just slow-paced, uninspired basketball in half-empty arenas. Behind the scenes, things were falling apart even faster. After Game 2 of the finals, A'ja Wilson, supposedly the league's biggest star, had a meltdown. Not over her performance, not over the lack of competitiveness, but over Caitlin Clark fans. She actually blamed Clark's supporters for not tuning in to the finals. Imagine that. Instead of acknowledging that fans wanted excitement and authenticity, she pointed fingers at the one group that had actually brought life to the league. It's like criticizing people for not watching a sequel after you killed off the main character in the first movie. This mentality, resentment, instead of reflection, is what's slowly killing the NBA. Rather than celebrating the player who drew millions of new eyes to the sport. Some stars treated her success as a threat. And the league itself? It didn't help. The officiating this season was one of the biggest disasters in recent sports memory. When the Fever faced the Aces earlier in the playoffs, the officiating was so blatantly one-sided it sparked conspiracy theories. Clark was getting hammered with no calls, while the slightest contact on an Aces player sent whistles flying. Fans noticed. Clips flooded social media showing the absurd discrepancies. Analysts called it embarrassing. The league said nothing. Commissioner Cathy Engelbert responded with the same robotic statements about improving officiating and valuing fan feedback, but fans weren't buying it. When people feel like the league is rigging games against the player they actually care about, they walk away. And they did. By the time the finals rolled around, the damage was done. The financial consequences are staggering. This isn't just about cheap tickets or low attendance. It's about the league's credibility collapsing before the next collective bargaining agreement. The players' union is preparing to demand better pay and revenue sharing, but how do you argue for higher salaries when your championship tickets cost less than a sandwich? Team owners and network executives are already sharpening their knives. They'll point to the empty seats, the dismal ratings, and the memes flooding social media, and they'll say, "You called this growth?" The numbers have stripped away all excuses. The record-breaking year was never league-wide success. It was the Caitlin Clark effect. She was the rising tide that lifted everyone, and the WNBA let that tide wash away. It gets worse. When the finals shifted to Phoenix, home of the Mercury, ticket prices didn't improve. Upper deck seats were selling for under $25. Lower bowl tickets were going for $50. This was supposed to be a marquee matchup between the Aces and a resurgent Mercury squad, yet entire sections sat empty. The atmosphere was lifeless, the crowd energy non-existent. You could hear sneakers squeaking louder than the fans. It felt like a preseason scrimmage, not a championship game. Meanwhile, social media was relentless. Fans mocked the situation with memes comparing ticket prices to gas receipts and fast food combos. Some joked that Caitlin Clark's signature shoes cost more than courtside final seats, and they weren't wrong. Every viral post became a reminder of how far the league had fallen in such a short time. TV ratings confirmed the humiliation. Game 1 of the finals recorded the lowest viewership in over a decade. Advertisers backed out. Broadcasters who had hyped the historic season went silent. The networks that once couldn't get enough of Clark's highlights were now airing finals games that barely cracked the top 100 broadcasts of the week. For a league that had finally started to break through culturally, it was a devastating blow. Yet through it all, Commissioner Engelbert remained on her media tour, boasting about momentum and growth. It was surreal, like watching someone give a victory speech while standing in the wreckage. Fans weren't buying it. The disconnect between leadership and reality has never been wider. The tragedy here is that the players actually competing in the finals aren't bad. A'ja Wilson, despite her off-court comments, is an incredible athlete. The Mercury have battle-tested veterans who know how to win. But the league's marketing, officiating, and storytelling have failed them completely. Talent alone doesn't sell tickets. Narratives do. Personality does. Emotion does. Caitlin Clark gave the league all three, and instead of protecting her, they alienated her fan base. The fallout will be brutal. Player salaries, sponsorship deals, and media coverage will all take a hit. Fans who once believed in the WNBA's future are walking away, disillusioned by how quickly it all unraveled. The league had the golden ticket, and instead of cashing it in, it tore it up in front of everyone. As the dust settles, the WNBA faces a defining moment. Either it learns from this disaster and starts building around its true stars, or it continues down this self-destructive path of denial. The Caitlin Clark era showed what's possible when the league embraces talent that transcends the sport. Sold-out arenas, viral moments, record TV ratings, it was all within reach. But when you alienate the very person who brought that magic, don't be surprised when the lights go out. So now the question is simple. Can the WNBA recover, or has it already hit its ceiling? Can it rebuild the energy and momentum that Clark sparked, or has the window already closed? Because right now, the league that claimed to be thriving is barely surviving. The numbers don't lie. The ticket prices don't lie. The empty seats don't lie. You can spin the PR narrative all you want, but fans are speaking loud and clear with their wallets and their silence. Before you go, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think the WNBA can turn this around, or has the league permanently lost the momentum Caitlin Clark created? Drop your thoughts down below, smash that like button if you think the league needs to wake up, and don't forget to subscribe for more coverage as this story unfolds. Because one thing's for sure, the truth always comes out, and this time, no amount of PR spin can hide it.